Your true gift does not lie in always being available, but in remaining authentic. Today I want to open a door for you that few dare to push open. I will guide you step by step through 3 clear movements that will make him unable to resist, that will awaken in him the need to seek you out, to listen to you and to have you in his life in a way you may never have imagined. And before you think, "Oh boy, I've tried everything already, nothing works," let me stop you for a moment. What you will discover here cannot be found in fashion magazines or in those guides that only make you feel guilty in the end, as if you were the one who failed. This message is dedicated to you, a woman who has lived enough to know what she wants and what she doesn't. If you are between 45 and 60, you should feel that these words carry your name, because I know what it means to look around and feel that men our age have become, how should I put it politely, specialists in emotional escape, masters of emptiness, almost like marble statues incapable of opening their hearts. And if you are younger, stay here, because what you are about to hear are truths that many only discover far too late, sometimes after years of wasted time in relationships that never did them justice. Before we dive into the secrets, I have a small but crucial request. If what I say touches something inside you, if you feel that these are exactly the words you needed today, then take a moment. Like this video, subscribe, activate the bell. Do it now. Because what I share here cannot be found anywhere else. And above all, share this message with a friend who always sighs because no one is interested in her anymore, with your sister who appears strong on the outside but feels lonely inside, or with your cousin who has stopped believing in love. Don't wait. You will forget later, and they could miss the chance to hear something that could move their life. And now listen carefully, because what comes next is crucial. If you stay until the end, you will not only learn about these 3 steps, there is a 4th hidden secret that I deliberately did not put in the title. I am saving it for the women who are truly ready to transform, to break patterns, and to open themselves to a new way of loving. This 4th secret not only makes a man call you, it makes you a magnet for his desire, the thought that passionately reappears in his mind again and again, and most importantly, in a healthy way. For over 20 years, as a couples therapist and sex counselor, I have seen scenes that could fill an entire library. I have seen brilliant, intelligent, confident women bend over backwards for men who neither had the stature nor the dignity to spend even a minute by their side. I have seen true queens lay down their crowns just to beg for a few crumbs of attention. And the most painful part, most of these men had no idea what treasure they had before them. But I have also seen the opposite. Women, seemingly ordinary, without qualities that the world would call extraordinary, became centers of gravity so strong that men orbited around them like planets, irresistibly drawn to their sun. And no, I'm not talking about cover models. I'm talking about women who learned a deeper art, the art of being desired by men who recognize the essential, not just the surface. And right there, in this contrast, lies the truth I want to reveal to you today. I am talking about women whose lives are written on their skin. Stretch marks like maps of their journeys, grey hair like moon threads, eyes that hold the stories of long nights. Women with children, with ex-husbands in the files, with scars they do not hide but name. They are not fantasies, they are presence and pulse. What did some of them have that others didn't? That is exactly what we will now decipher. And let me tell you right away, it does not depend on your dress size, not on the number on your ID card, not on your bank account, and not on your love record. It is something deeper and astonishingly simple. Less appearance, more inner pulse. Science gives us a clear clue. The male brain works according to a primitive reward mechanism. When men feel they have achieved something others could not, when they feel a conquest, their brain rewards them with dopamine, which triggers the urge to repeat the pursuit. It is not poetry, it is chemistry that controls behavior. And understanding this gives you practical knowledge. The important thing is, Many women unconsciously destroy this field of conquest. They offer everything immediately: constant attention, instant solutions, total availability. They fulfill wishes before they are even spoken. They remove every secret, every riddle. And when there is nothing left to discover, interest fades. It is like opening a box and taking out all the toys at once. The shine lasts only briefly, then indifference follows. The 3 steps I am about to show you begin with accepting this map as it is. These are not games, no masquerade. They are techniques to reclaim your presence with dignity, to become again a place one wants to return to. I'm not saying that all men are the same, but there are tendencies, neural and evolutionary patterns, that repeat in many. If you know them, you can move more freely. Transforming this knowledge into daily practice gives you real strength. You attract from your center without losing your authenticity. And before any alarm goes off, this is not manipulation. We will not deceive anyone or act artificially cold. It is about connecting with a feminine power that you may have pushed into the background. Femininity is not a mistake and not a shame. It is a form of energy, a way of speaking without losing your dignity. We were taught the opposite, that attraction equals frivolity, that showing desire means being calculating, that femininity is superficial, prejudices that we should calmly dissolve. Your femininity, this mixture of gentleness and strength, of humor and clear boundaries, when used consciously, is an honest magnet. It attracts without creating dependence, seduces without losing yourself. If you activate it from clarity, men with true resonance will not only be drawn to you, they will return with sincere interest. I have often seen women unite 2 energies that at first glance seem contradictory. They are lighthouse and guardian at the same time. They open and receive, but also know when to keep a door half closed. They tend a garden that does not show all its flowers at once. This balance, finesse with boundaries, awakens curiosity and makes someone want to look in again and again. It is a simple technique. Dose presence, honestly, not tactically. That changes everyday life. Instead of solving everything immediately, you let the other participate, go their way, make small conquests, not out of indulgence but out of dignity. Every small conquest strengthens his interest. Every step awakens his sense of success. This creates active interest, not a one-sided mission. I will give you concrete tools for this: gestures, sentences, timing and pauses that you can incorporate into your everyday life with respect and tenderness, because attraction does not mean taking something away, but offering a landscape to which the other gladly returns again and again. At the end, in addition to the 3 steps, I will give you an extra key. A 4th discovery that I reserve only for the women who are truly ready to transform. It is not a trick, but a new, calm and powerful way to take your place in desire, ready to cross that threshold. I know you want to discover the 3 steps, and I am ready to show them to you. The first step, and I want you to imprint it deeply because it is the foundation for everything that follows. Become the woman I call the unpredictable woman. Look around you. Have you noticed how men can watch football for hours, play video games, or sit at poker tables? Why? Because there is never a guaranteed outcome. Every move opens the door to the unexpected. Every round holds a new twist. This uncertainty ignites a fire in their brain. Dopamine is released. The substance that makes him feel alive, full of excitement, almost addicted to what he cannot fully control. Now look at yourself. Ask yourself, am I predictable? Do I reply to every message immediately? Do I say yes to every invitation? Do I always react the same as if my script were already written? If your answers are more yes, that explains part of why he no longer feels the same urge to pursue you. Being unpredictable does not mean being chaotic, playing extreme games, or becoming someone else. It is much more elegant. It means being multifaceted, having a life of your own, interests that don't stand still, a schedule that doesn't orbit only around his. It means surprising him from time to time with a spark, with a side of you he didn't know yet. Let me tell you a story. A woman in Bogota, an architect, 52 years old, had been in a relationship for 3 years that was draining her inside. Her partner only reached out when he needed company or sex, never just to ask, "How are you?" "I miss you." She felt invisible. I suggested a simple exercise: break the pattern for 2 weeks. One day she replied immediately. The next she left her phone aside for hours. Another day she reappeared only the next morning. One weekend she cancelled their plans to go out with friends. Another time she suddenly showed up at his door with wine and a radiant smile. The result? Within 7 days, this man, who had treated her like a piece of furniture, started to grow restless, like someone who fears losing a treasure he had taken for granted. He called more often, sent flowers, demanded explanations. Why? Because his primitive brain sensed danger. She was no longer safe, no longer always available, and his hunting instinct awakened. But the most important part was not his reaction, but her transformation. While she played unpredictable, she was in fact awakening parts of herself she had abandoned. She signed up for salsa classes, rekindled old friendships, started a personal project that had been in a drawer for years. That was not acting, but authenticity. She wasn't pretending. She was remembering the vibrant, fascinating woman she had always been. And here lies the key. True unpredictability is not disguise or fragmentation. It means seeing yourself as a kaleidoscope, not a blank page, showing the different textures of your personality, the joyful and the deep, the serious and the playful, the loving and the creative. A woman with a rich, diverse life becomes a universe no man can grasp at a glance. Because yes, I have seen it again and again. Men lose their fire when everything is too linear, too transparent. Not out of malice or superficiality, but because their brain needs the thrill of the unknown, the feeling that there is still something to discover. Imagine someone gives you a book. If you already know how it ends on the first page, you would put it down. But if each chapter brings twists, complex characters, and new landscapes, you devour it, and it stays with you for a lifetime. That is what being unpredictable means. You become a fascinating story he doesn't want to put down. You must be that book no one leaves on the nightstand, the story he opens with longing because every page holds a surprise that keeps him awake late into the night. But caution, unpredictable does not mean moody, stormy, or sowing drama. It is not about manipulating or hurting. It is about opening your inner fan and showing that you are a woman full of shades, who does not fit into a rigid pattern, who lives different emotions, depending on the day, depending on the light. If you are usually sweet and expressive, allow yourself at times a mysterious silence, a hint of restraint. If you are serious and structured, surprise him with a playful spark. If you are the one who organizes everything, let him take the initiative and see what he does with it. If you always agree, tell him clearly when you disagree. The idea is simple and powerful. He should never be able to say, "I already know her completely." He should always feel, every day with her is a new discovery, and all these sides are real. And surely the question is crossing your mind now. Don't I risk seeming unstable? The difference is huge. Instability arises from inner chaos, from insecurity, from losing control of your own waters. Unpredictability, on the contrary, grows from inner richness, from a vast universe within you that deserves to be discovered piece by piece. An unstable woman confuses and repels. She creates fear and drives the other to seek peace elsewhere. An unpredictable woman, on the other hand, awakens curiosity, ignites questions, offers that delightful feeling of mystery that sparks the desire to know more. How can you tell which side you are on? Observe. If he distances himself, looks worried, tells you in an annoyed tone that he doesn't understand you, then perhaps you are radiating chaos. But if he feels drawn closer, his interest grows, he smiles and calls you fascinating, then you're on the right path. The goal is never to drive him crazy or punish with confusion. The goal is to keep the flame of curiosity alive. the one that pulses strongly at the beginning of every relationship and dies when we become too predictable. Many women fear this game because they think they will lose control. They think, if I don't always reply immediately, if I'm not constantly available, he will go to another woman. Let me tell you from experience, a man who disappears because you don't serve him around the clock is not a loss. He is a relief. That man is not looking for a partner, he is looking for a mother. Someone to wash his emotions and tidy his chaos without giving anything in return. An adult, conscious man who wants a woman in all her fullness will not run away because you are independent. On the contrary, he will honor it. He will enjoy your complexity, your ability to surprise him, to take him out of the obvious. Those who run from the unpredictable woman are often the insecure ones. Men who want to control everything because they don't dare to grow. They want a figure who mothers them, not a companion who challenges and inspires them. And here I ask you honestly, do you really want such a man in your life? And now comes something fundamental. I will show you concrete, practical strategies with which you can use unpredictability intelligently and truthfully, so that it becomes a lighthouse for your relationship, and not a storm that destroys it. The first key idea, and believe me, it is the most important, is to build your own universe. A life so rich and vibrant that it doesn't need anyone else to have meaning. You cannot be unpredictable if every heartbeat of your day revolves only around him. A fascinating woman is like a constellation of stars, many stars, each with its own light. Your projects, your personal goals, your friendships, your passions, all of that forms a sky that attracts him precisely because it doesn't belong to him. It reminds him that your world is bigger than his. There will be days when your career, your art, your sport, or even your silence take priority. Moments when your eyes shine with joy because of an experience you had alone or with someone else. And when you share it, he feels invited to explore a territory he doesn't control. That is exactly the treasure to keep attraction alive, that you are not predictable because your life is too big to fit into a single form. The second strategy is more subtle, but just as strong. Change your communication patterns. Think of your messages as little keys. Each opens a different emotion. Do you usually answer immediately? Allow yourself the freedom to wait, to take your time. Not as a game, but because your life also has pauses and priorities. Do you usually write long paragraphs? Try a short, sparkling line that makes him want to ask more. Are you usually the one who starts every conversation? Leave it to him now and then. Let him feel that he wants to seek you. And if your conversations always revolve around the same topics, dare to open new windows. Talk about a hidden passion, about a book that moved you, about a strange dream, about a plan that excites you. Each variation is like a new window in a house. Suddenly different light enters, different wind, and he realizes he hasn't yet seen all your rooms. The fascinating thing is, you don't have to invent anything artificial. It is enough to show all your sides, even those you have hidden until now. Because unpredictable doesn't mean disguising yourself, but being authentically in motion, like a river that never flows the same way twice and yet is always the same river. The third strategy, and I want you to take it with all seriousness, is dare to show all your faces, the ones that live in you and sometimes disappear under habit. We women are universes full of contrasts. We are gentleness and fire, discipline and play, silence and loud laughter. The most common mistake is to reduce yourself to a single version, the seemingly safe one that we believe he expects, as if a picture of 1,000 colors were always painted with the same tone. Men, those who truly fall in love with a complete woman, are not captivated by repetition, but by the impossibility of categorizing you. Let him experience you radiant and profound when you talk about life, brave and sensual in intimacy, protective with your children or among others, adventurous in new plans and vulnerable when you need support. Do not fear contradictions. They are not a sign of weakness, but of vitality. Think of the most fascinating women in history. They were never linear. On the same day, they could be a tender refuge and a storm full of power. They could walk independently and at the same time open space to ask for help. They had the audacity to desire and the humility to learn. That exact paradox captivates, because many lives live in a single body. And here something beautiful happens. When my clients begin to practice this true unpredictability, they not only see how the gaze of men toward them changes, they also begin to see themselves differently. They rediscover facets they had long left sleeping in a corner. They take up passions, hobbies, sensitivities again that they once gave up, and talk about them with shining eyes. I feel more alive, they say. Because the truth is, monotony not only extinguishes the flame in the relationship, it also extinguishes your own. If your life becomes a repeated script that constantly revolves only around satisfying someone else, you also become predictable to yourself. But when you start bringing back those forgotten parts, when you give space again to all your inner voices, then transformation happens. You become more attractive, yes, but above all, you become more attractive to yourself. And this self-confidence, this inner fullness, can be felt miles away. It is like an invisible perfume. Men perceive it without you saying a word. Let me ask you a perhaps uncomfortable but liberating question. When was the last time you surprised yourself? Not him, yourself. Do you remember the moment when you did something you had never tried before, something that tore you out of everyday life and gave you the feeling of truly being alive? If you have to think for a long time, that might be exactly the reason why you don't evoke great fascination today. Because if your own life tastes like routine, how is it supposed to taste like adventure to someone else? The good news, all of this can be awakened. This unpredictable, multi-layered woman who can reinvent herself again and again is already inside you. Maybe she has just been sleeping and waiting for this call. The first step is to give her a voice again. Now we come to the second step, just as powerful and meant as a complement to the first. I call it creating emotional uniqueness value. And perhaps this is the most revolutionary idea you will hear today about connecting with a man. Think about it. We all have people we seek out in very specific moments. That friend who has exactly the right advice when you need it most. That family member who makes you laugh even on the greyest days. Or that colleague who always finds the words to motivate you again. They are not perfect, but they give you something that no one else can give in the same way. That is exactly what I call emotional uniqueness value. And in the realm of love, the same applies, well, even if many women don't see it. Many believe the secret for a man to stay or pursue her intensely is to become a compendium of perfection, the best cook, the most passionate lover, the most understanding, the most beautiful, the most organized, as if the relationship were an endless competition for invisible medals. And, in the end, they are exhausted, the soul worn out from trying to be everything for him. The tragic thing, they overlook the obvious. It's not about being perfect in everything, but being irreplaceable in one thing. That's something that imprints itself like an emotional seal, something that exists nowhere else. Believe me, I have seen it again and again in my practice. Men are not looking for the perfect woman. Perfection doesn't exist, and deep down, it's not even attractive. What they are looking for, what captivates them without chains, is the woman who triggers a unique feeling in them, an emotion that no one else can touch. Maybe you are the only one who makes him laugh so much that his stomach hurts, or the one who lifts him up when he is on the ground, the one who gives him peace in the midst of chaos, or the one who challenges him mentally and forces him to grow. Maybe you are the one who awakens the adventurer in him, or the one who makes him feel strong, protective, deeply masculine. The key is not to collect many scattered qualities, but to discover your emotional superpower and nourish it so that it shines. I remember a client who deeply impressed me. She was an extraordinary woman, brilliant doctor, beautiful, extremely organized, perfect hostess, always groomed, always with a flawless smile. On paper, the dream woman. And yet after 2 years, her boyfriend seemed more and more distant, bored, as if he were living on autopilot next to her. When we analyzed her situation, it was immediately clear. She was good at everything, but unforgettable in nothing, perfectly predictable. He knew exactly how she would react in every situation, always in a good mood, always with the food ready, always flawless, always understanding. And paradoxically, this consistency numbed him. I asked her a question that left her silent for a long time. If you disappeared from his life tomorrow, what would he miss most about you? And don't say everything. Say one specific thing, something that no one else could give him like you. She lowered her gaze and had no answer. That was the knot. We started working and discovered her hidden treasure. She had an incredible talent for changing people's perspectives. She could illuminate problems with hope, show opportunities in the storm. It was naturally given to her, no effort needed. But she had buried it under the obsession of being the perfect girlfriend. Instead of accompanying him with her light, she had taken on the role of emotional servant, the one who solves everything for him. She kept him comfortable, but without growth. I suggested a small, powerful change. Next time, when he came home exhausted from work, she shouldn't immediately put the food on the table. Instead, she should sit down with him, breathe with him, and from that calm, guide him with questions and perspectives that only she could give him. The effect was almost immediately noticeable. Within a few weeks, he began to seek her for a new reason. Not out of convenience, not out of routine, but because he found clarity with her. She became his source of vision, the only one who could order his inner storms. She was no longer perfect in 1,000 things. She was unique in one, and that was enough to become irreplaceable. And here lies the core of the matter. When a man associates your presence with an emotion he cannot find anywhere else, he seeks you on his own. You don't have to beg him. You don't have to chase after him. You don't have to stage dramas. His instinct brings him back to you because you are that irreplaceable place in his emotional world. But listen carefully. That does not mean that you should be his free therapist, his unpaid coach, or even an emotional crutch he depends on. Your unique value must be a gift that comes from your authenticity, not a burden that drains you. The key is to recognize this treasure within you and use it consciously, not as a mask, but as a natural extension of who you are. That is your secret key to creating an emotional connection so unique that he finds it nowhere else. I have seen miracles in my clients. Some are the sparks that awaken the creative part of their partners. Others invite them to leave their comfort zone, to try new things they would never have dared alone. Still others help them embrace their sensitivity, feel safe in their vulnerability. Some make them laugh until the weight of the day is forgotten. And some are like lighthouses in the storm. They calm, inspire, give direction. Each radiates her own light with an unmistakable emotional superpower. The secret is not to want to be everything at once. That exhausts. The secret is to recognize and reinforce your own radiance. For that, you must first truly know yourself. Perceive the signals of your life. Ask yourself, what do people value most about me? What do friends and family keep emphasizing? What talent flows so naturally from me that it requires no effort? If even in dark moments you make others laugh, then your magic lies right there, in the lightness that dissolves heaviness. If your gift is wisdom, you open doors to new perspectives. If your heart beats for adventure, you are the one who gives courage, who reminds, out there are still worlds to discover. But remember, your emotional value must never arise from self-sacrifice. You are not here to be a free psychologist, not a mother in the costume of a partner, not the bearer of burdens for someone else's life. Your gift is not a delivery service. It must nourish you too. If it does not fulfill you, if it is only duty, then it is not a gift, but a chain. The beautiful thing is, when a woman reconnects with her gift, something ignites in her. Not only do her relationships change, but also the relationship with herself. She feels meaning again, recognizes that what she carries is great, a gift to the world. And believe me, men feel that, not because you explain it, but because you radiate it. It is magnetic energy. Fulfillment is visible from afar. How do you discover your emotional value if you are not yet clear about it? 4 exercises can open your eyes. First, pay attention to the compliments you receive most often. Not superficial ones about your appearance, but deep ones. I always laugh with you. You inspire me. With you I feel calm. There are clues. Second, think about past relationships. When did you feel most seen, appreciated, acknowledged? What did you give in those moments? That's where your treasure lies. Third, recognize the spaces and people where you naturally blossom. When you motivate, accompany, let others dream, give smiles. That's your field. Fourth, look at what others repeatedly ask you for advice about. Are you their calming anchor, their creative fuse, the one who puts problems into perspective with one sentence? That's exactly where your value shows it. If you have recognized it, cultivate it intentionally. If your gift is humor, nourish it. Play, train your wit, see life lightly. If your gift is inspiration, grow, learn, read, so you can always give new sparks. If your treasure is adventure, then go out, explore new things to share that energy. And now a crucial point many overlook. Your emotional value must not be constantly available like tap water. It is more like a fine perfume, in the right dose to leave an impression. If you are the inspiring one, don't give endless speeches. If you are the funny one, don't be a clown all the time. If you are the calm one, don't become a constant anesthetic to his fears. The magic lies in moderation, in the art of the right moment. Your gift works when you give it, when it truly flows from within you, when he really needs it. And when you hold it back with elegance as soon as he takes it for granted. Men appreciate the most what they could lose. The extraordinary loses its value when it becomes routine. Here a fascinating field opens, the difference between giving from abundance and giving from lack. If you give from abundance, you do it because you overflow, because joy is present. This energy is free, magnetic, irresistible. If you give from lack, you do it from fear, insecurity, neediness. And even if he can't put it into words, he feels it. It feels heavy, demanding, sticky. Therefore, before you become the unique emotional haven for a man, be it first for yourself. Fill yourself with your passions, talents, friendships, your purpose. Only then do you give not out of need, but out of abundance. And that is what attracts the most, the woman who needs nothing to be happy. And precisely for that reason, freely chooses to share her essence. Neuroscience confirms it. Male bonding does not arise from perfection or constant availability, but from repeated emotional experiences that leave deep traces, like a song that instantly catapults you into a memory, like a scent that takes you back to a specific moment. Repetition creates automatic pathways, and so his own brain leads him back to you, again and again, without you having to chase him. Therefore, it is crucial. Be consistent, but not constant. Consistent means, when you give, do it genuinely, from the heart, with quality. Constant would mean always, at any time. And everything that is omnipresent loses its magic, and step by step you become his retreat, without him being able to put it into words. But if you give him this peace every time he shows the smallest sign of stress, it stops being a gift. It becomes an expectation, a duty, something predictable, and the predictable loses its magic. The secret lies in balance. Always give quality, but consciously choose when and how. And here the most beautiful thing happens. When my clients apply this principle, something magical happens. Not only does the way men see them change, but also how they perceive themselves. They rediscover gifts they thought were long forgotten. They realize that their value does not depend on external validation, not on being perfect in everything, but on being extraordinary in what comes naturally to them. That liberates. It frees from the pressure of having to be everything for everyone and allows real strengths to be nurtured instead of exhausting oneself in others' expectations. It gives a clear, powerful identity. If a man seeks you because he recognizes exactly this gift in you, something no one else can give him, then he seeks you for who you are, not for the role you thought he expected. And believe me, this difference completely changes the energy of a relationship. Before we move to the third step, take a break and ask yourself, what could your unique emotional value be? What is it that you have to give that pulls him back again and again? Don't pressure yourself to have an immediate answer. Often our gift lies so close that it seems obvious to us. But when you ask the people who truly know you, patterns appear, small flashes of your essence you may never have noticed. Now to the third step, which ties everything learned together into a complete, irresistible strategy. I call it mastering the art of strategic withdrawal. And believe me, this is the strongest ability a woman can develop in relationships with men. But before I explain how it works, you must understand something crucial about male psychology. Many don't know it, but once you grasp it, everything changes. Men have a special relationship with emotional and physical space. They need the feeling of freedom, the possibility to approach or withdraw without being chased or pressured. If a man feels that a woman emotionally corners him, gives him no room, his primal instinct activates. He withdraws. But if he feels that a woman is like a beautiful garden, accessible but not dependent, a place he can visit whenever he wants, and from which he is not rejected when he needs distance, then something surprising happens. He wants to spend more and more time in that garden. Strategic withdrawal does not mean making it hard for him or playing cruel games. It is not manipulation, but deep understanding. It is the knowledge that sometimes the best way to attract him is to give him space, so that the decision to come closer comes from him, voluntarily, genuinely. And in the meantime, you blossom in your own life, fulfilled, secure, magnetic. It's like with a cat. If you try to constantly carry or chase it, it runs away. If you stay calm, busy with your own business, it usually comes on its own, rubs against your legs, seeks your closeness. Men have a lot of cat in their emotional psychology. They want what is not self-evidently available, and they deeply appreciate what they perceive as rare. Strategic withdrawal works on the same principle. It does not mean disappearing for weeks or acting cold and hurtful. It's about consciously creating spaces in which he can miss you, in which he realizes what you mean to him, in which the decision to come closer is truly his. Because choosing is always more powerful than merely receiving. The first level of strategic withdrawal is emotional. That means you are not constantly available to absorb his problems, to provide eternal support, to invest all your emotional energy only in him. You have your own inner life, your feelings, priorities, projects that deserve attention. That is not coldness, not indifference, but a healthy boundary, respect for your own space. I remember a client who had been in a relationship for 5 years. Her partner took her completely for granted. He came home, threw himself on the sofa, and expected entertainment, comfort, solutions to his problems. But when she herself needed support, he was too tired, absent, unable to give her anything in return. The relationship was completely one-sided. I taught her emotional strategic withdrawal. When he came home the next time and expected her usual attention, she was deeply absorbed in a project that brought her joy. She was neither rude nor cold, but she also did not immediately leave her own universe to turn only to him. He was irritated. He was used to her being automatically available. He asked her if something was wrong. She replied calmly, "No, everything's fine." I'm just busy with something that excites me. And that evening, something happened that hadn't happened in years. He made an effort. He sought her closeness, took interest in her project, made her laugh, wanted to win her attention, all without pressure, without manipulation. That is the power of emotional strategic withdrawal. When you are not always available, when your inner world is rich and fascinating, he has to make an effort. And men deeply appreciate what they have to work for. The second level of withdrawal is communicative. It does not mean ignoring messages for days. It means setting your own rhythm. Sometimes you respond immediately, sometimes later, sometimes only the next day, because you were busy. That is not manipulation, but authenticity with a strategic element. Here, unpredictability plays a role again. Always responding exactly after 3 hours would be predictable. But when your response times vary, sometimes immediately, sometimes later, a pattern of intermittent reinforcement is created that the male brain finds extremely attractive. It is the same mechanism that makes slot machines so captivating. You never know exactly when the reward will come, only that it will come eventually. And it is precisely this uncertainty that keeps his mind captivated. He thinks about you, wants to get closer, wants to know what you will say or do next. When your reactions are unpredictable and at the same time warm, valuable and genuine, his brain begins to build a kind of emotional dependence on you. He never knows exactly when he will get your attention, but every time it happens, it is like a little reward, something he eagerly anticipates. This tension, this subtle uncertainty, creates emotional attraction, almost an addiction, that makes him constantly think of you, full of anticipation for your next reaction, your next word. The third level of strategic withdrawal is physical. That means you are not always available exactly when he wants. You have your own plans, commitments, a social life that does not revolve exclusively around him. That is crucial, especially at the beginning of a relationship or when you want to revive a connection that has become monotonous. If you are always available, constantly changing your plans to adjust to him, if your calendar shifts effortlessly to fit him in, then he will take your presence for granted, something he no longer has to consciously appreciate. But if you lead an exciting life of your own, if your commitments are important and you sometimes have to say, tonight won't work, but how about Thursday? Then your meetings automatically become more valuable, more desirable, because they are not guaranteed. The most important point, strategic withdrawal must be real to work. You cannot invent an exciting life. If you make up fake appointments, he will notice sooner or later. And instead of attraction, mistrust arises. The key is authenticity, projects that truly excite you, friendships that truly matter to you, activities you genuinely enjoy. When your life is rich and fulfilling, your limited availability becomes natural and absolutely alluring. That is why I always say, the most important work for fulfilling relationships is not chasing him or bending yourself for him. The most important work is on your own life. The more complete, interesting and fulfilling your independent life is, the more irresistible you become to men who truly matter. Because they are not looking for a woman who depends on them, but one who radiates her own light, and with whom they want to share their life. And now, while you are thinking about all this, remember something fundamental. This is not about pretending or changing yourself just to please someone. It is about connecting with your essence, allowing yourself to be the complex, fascinating and complete woman you have always been. When you apply these steps, becoming unpredictable, discovering and amplifying your unique emotional value, and giving him space to approach willingly, not only your relationships change, your relationship with yourself changes too. You feel more alive, more interesting, more complete, and this energy is impossible to overlook. Remember, your own life, your passions, your authenticity, that is what will draw him to you, not because you have to prove anything, but because you radiate abundance, strength and mystery at the same time. And believe me, men can sense that from miles away. My final recommendation for you today is simple. Start applying what you have learned, but do it from your authenticity, from your abundance, from your own joy. There is no need to force anything or chase after him. What you are creating is greater. It is your feminine power, your ability to attract what you deserve. And the most beautiful thing, this is only the beginning of everything you can achieve. If this video resonated with you, give it a like now, subscribe to my channel and activate the bell so you do not miss any of my messages about love, psychology, and feminine power. And if you know someone who should hear these words, share them, because we all deserve to discover our true strength. Thank you for being here, for listening to yourself and taking steps into your own transformation. See you soon. And never forget, your essence is your strongest weapon.